a tight end, a fullback, and everything else that he is.
Well, I look at it this way. He is a quarterback. When you look at, I'll take a guy that wins. The guy's, how many games did he win? He won, 8 regular season games last year, won a playoff game. It's hard to say that he can't play quarterback. He has, and he's won.
Different type of quarterback, and you have to admit
he
that.
is a different type of quarterback.
Right.
But you can't just ignore the fact that this guy gives you other things. He doesn't have to beat you by staying in the pocket. Here's a guy that can beat you with his legs.
But doesn't it hurt the development of Mark Sanchez to take him off the field?
It all depends on how you take him off the field. It all depends on how you take him off the field. Listen, if Tony Sperano decides to put him down in there on the 2-yard line and you put him in the shotgun and he runs in for a touchdown, who cares? The bottom line is to score the touchdown. I get all that.
Right.
But I still go back to the point where, to me, if something happens where he ends up being your starting quarterback for whatever reason, whether it be ineffectiveness from Mark, you need a spark or something on offense, Mark gets hurt, and he now comes in, now you're going to have to change your offense. And even, talking to John Fox last year and talking to him this year, they had to modify their offense from the conventional offense that you normally run to fit his skill set, which means I think you marginalize some of your highest paid players, Santonio Holmes being one of them.
Well, I would look at it this way. Any good coach is going to put your players, you're going to focus on what they do. And, what is it that they do best? And you're going to formulate game plans around it. No different on a defensive player and an offensive player. You do the same thing. And, the fact that he plays quarterback, you don't have to, say, well, we're going to run, obviously you're going to run part of your base offense, but there's other things that you would do with Tim, focusing on his skill set. And one thing you can't deny is the fact that this guy right here is a threat. And when you look at some of the things we've done, when we brought him in, offensively, we had a better offense when we had Brad Smith here. And what Brad brought to the table was running that Wildcat. Brad averaged 8 yards a carry.
No, he was great as a Jet.
And when you look at it, we ran the Wildcat about as effectively as any team in the league, with the exception of the Miami Dolphins, who Tony ran this thing. So you're going to get an ideal guy in that situation that can run the ball inside, he can run the ball outside, he can pitch it with either hand, and he can throw the football. And I think when you combine that, and he's durable, like it's not like you're going to hurt this guy or whatever. He's 250 pounds. I mean,
he's pretty thick. He's got some muscles on him. I mean, so do I, though, but in a much different way.
I was noticing that.
He's got no muscle. The only thing I would say is that the difference between Tim and Brad Smith is that while Brad Smith was a quarterback in college, he was never thought of that at the pro level. So there was never a discussion of saying, hey, keep Brad Smith on the field.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because that's his exact position in Buffalo right now.
Right.
He is a quarterback.
Well, he's like the third-string quarterback, though, right?
But that's okay. But, I know one thing. Brad, when we had him in there, he was effective. Right. And I think that's what you look for, doing, different things, taking, what your roster, can do. And trust me, from a standpoint of, how much work is involved in trying to prepare for those type of things and doing the what-ifs during the week, it is – it's a nightmare for a defensive coach.
We're talking to Rex Ryan.
And let me just say, Tim is here as well. We'll bring Tim Tebow in here in a second as well.
Are you frustrated right now because, obviously everybody overreacts to preseason one way or the other, whether it's Andrew Luck's going to be the MVP or Tannehill's going to be the next Dan Marino, because we've seen, glimpses of those things in those particular cities. Here it's been a frustrating process with the offense trying to get on track, yet we know in talking to Tony Sperano that the entire offense has not really been shown, and plus the wide receivers haven't been on the field.
Right.
You haven't seen the Tebow package. We haven't seen any of that stuff. There has not been much to creativity. I think it's just more kind of installing the offense. Are you a little bit frustrated as to how everything's being kind of portrayed over here from an offensive standpoint, or no?
Not really, because I think they'll start counting in a few weeks, and I think that's when we'll see.
Oh, you better beat Buffalo, Rex. I'll tell you that right now.
Well, I'm going to say this.
I don't care about it. You go 0-4, don't score a touchdown, I don't care. You better beat Buffalo and win one, boy.
We better win a lot of games
Well, let's just start with Buffalo. Hey, listen, It's always good seeing you. You look great.
I'm
glad you're feeling well.
Man.
And, you've been great for the Jets since you got here. I'm very concerned about this year, but you haven't played a game that means anything yet, so hopefully you'll get out of the gate strong, and we thank you for coming by.
All right, guys.
Yeah,
Rex Ryan, everybody.
Too small to play hockey goalie for me.
He is, for
He
sure.
used to be bigger, yes.
Exactly.
He used to be bigger.
Why don't you bring Tim Tebow over here, the Well, I don't even. What do we call Tim? Backup quarterback, Mr. Everything. I'm not sure what his title is these days, but he is.